Hi, guys. This is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on the Supernatural Show. And today we are going to be listening to your stories, or at least giving y'all guys the option to be able to tell your stories. Maybe a rabbit hole you went down through this weekend, something you're looking into, something maybe you don't understand that you want to talk to a larger audience about. If you can seek some answers to some of the questions you have. I'm not sure, but that's what we're going to be doing today. And to get things started off right, try to pick up the pace, the beat, vibe, everything. We're just jamming out a little bit while everybody gets here. Are you revved up yet? I got some more music.
I think I could listen to that for like 20 minutes nonstop.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I just like it. It's a free song right off of YouTube on the music creator area, and it's a jam, and got a bunch of other cool music in here too. But the show today, guys, some of you were just getting here. We're kind of wanting to just talk about what y'all guys are seeing, what y'all guys are, the rabbit holes you might have went down through over the weekend. Maybe something is just burning inside of you that you want to talk about, and you'll be able to come here on the show here in just a little bit. We'll open the door for anybody that might want to pop in, have a conversation with us. Shannon, my co-host, she's having to work today, and so she's not available to be here for this show. And but we do have Miss Kim in the house, who is currently going to get me a mason jar full of water. And we've got Leslie hanging out with us as well. Leslie is someone who is trying to, you might say, get a grasp on some of the things that we're doing and what we're up to and everything, and figure out how she can assist the best place for her to fit. And it may be running our green room for us. Thank you, Miss Kim.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome, honey.
Or it may be something else. We're still looking for someone who can write articles for us on beforeitsnews.com. If that's you, you can easily get a hold of us using probably the easiest way is just send a text to that number right there. And what it is like on beforeitsnews.com, you go on that website, or you can go on, we can even set you up so you can create the blog on the Supernatural Show website, and then copy it over to like Before It's News and maybe a few other sites. I just know Before It's News has got a large audience and can drive traffic to us because we cannot depend on YouTube. YouTube wants us to believe that there's not as many people watching or would be watching that should be or would be if it was a natural competitive situation. And of course, they've been doing that for a long time, but we just can't depend on them. So we're going to try to employ some other ways, such as beforeitsnews.com and also emailing y'all guys a little bit more often than I have. I have about 4,000 of y'all's email address. And that many people that went through the time of giving me their contact information means that there's a lot larger number than actually is being shown as showing up here. And we're broadcasting on 8 platforms. So we've got people watching on Facebook in the hundreds, generally, whether they watch it live or the replay. And we've generally got probably, depending on the show, anywhere from 1 to 10,000 watching on YouTube. And then Instagram, I'm not even sure. I haven't looked to see how many's over there. Then we got Rumble. There's about 1,000 over there watching, give or take. And BitChute, we just started broadcasting into it live, and several hundred. So, we've got people watching in various different ways, different times, different places. But I know that it should be much bigger because I've been doing this for 15 years. And I've exposed some of the largest conspiracies that have met the news over the last 15 years. And that's part of the reason why they don't want to promote me, is because I do expose them. They don't want us telling the truth about certain things. So if you're out there and you are fairly decent with a computer, and just have the ability to write with proper grammar, get a hold of us. Just send a text to that number there. With that being said, what's happening, Miss Roxy?
I am sitting at home looking at the weather. Kind of cloudy here. What's it look like your way?
It's
dreary here.
It's cloudy, and as a matter of fact, I wanted to look at the weather because there's
I know we're seeing a lot of people talking about storms.
there's
Mr. Sidewinder said he had 80-mile-an-hour winds in Michigan last night. Who else do we have in here?
there's a significant storm coming. Matter of fact, I'll show you.
Tina said she survived a tornado that was 15 minutes away. Said you could hear a low sounding whistle and the rain going sideways.
And here's the current. This is a lightning map that shows various countries, of course, and the lightning that's going on in all these different places. This website is a volunteer website where you can go and you can purchase the equipment, which is pretty cheap, less than $100, and you can install it at your location. And then you're one of the sites that's actually showing. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you here if I can. Let's see here. Here we go. Show you the lines connecting. All those lines are the readers reading and sensing the lightning. And an interesting thing about it is that these readers, they work on line of sight, is how these work. They're just an antenna that's put up on the top of your house, and it works off of basically line of sight. And as you can see, there are stations in Europe that are picking up the storms over here. It's sensing them, and vice versa. And down here in Africa, there are stations out there that are picking it up as well. And all the way literally across the entire world. And knowing that these things work off of line of sight that should tell you something, because you cannot have something, just a simple $100 little antenna deal in Australia, and it's sending light bolts on the other side of the planet, supposedly. That would not work. It would not function. Yet this site does function. It does show all these connections taking place. So with that being said, yeah, we've got, as you can see, a pretty heavy duty storm coming. Let me turn those lines off. And I also wanted to look at the alerts out there, because I know this weather is affecting a lot of people. Some of you know that on occasion, depending on what the weather is, I'll become a weatherman for a day, because I've always just been fascinated with it. Let's see, we got a tornado warning 26 minutes ago. 4 minutes ago. And it's in Georgia. Tornado warning in Georgia. We've got severe thunderstorms. That's the only tornado one. Let's go take a look at it on the map. I think I can make this full screen somehow. Here we go. Okay, so there's the current tornado that's in Georgia, western Georgia. Looks like it's headed north of whatever this place is, Warner Robins, north of Warner Robins, quite a ways up, heading over towards Highway I-16 in that direction. Kind of out in somewhat the boonies, but I know there's people all over the place out here. But all these red intense areas, these are all toroidal thunderstorms. When I look at the weather like this, I think I know what the weathermen use to call what these things are, but what they're doing, if you know anything about a supercell thunderstorm, which this is a big line of them, they're spinning like a top. And when they get enough spin going, that they can come down that center of that top and touch the ground. And when they do that, they can create their own gravitational control of the environment, and that's how they lift things. They don't really lift and blow things. What they do is, because of the spin, it creates its own gravitational environment, for lack of a better word, gravity. And so then you can have train cars and cows and other things that become as light as a feather, and then the wind will just throw it, So I wonder sometimes in the past if I shouldn't have started a weather channel and explaining weather for what it is, like how, there's just so much I could get into. But yeah, we've got some pretty good weather coming towards us today. And I know some of y'all guys that are watching are in the line where this storm is headed to. And so y'all guys be safe. I like sometimes talking about the methods in which they're altering the weather. But you have to understand what the weather is before you can understand that.
Yeah, over there, another comment asking us to get basements. We don't have basements down in the South. We don't really have a need for basements down here. Our best bet is find a ditch or a bathtub. We don't have basements.
Yeah, the water table's too high down here. Yeah, weather warfare, Mama Rachel's. See, the weather is another thing that is a natural, what everybody looks at as being natural. And what they do is they use technology, which is magic or technology, all in one the same thing. And they learn how, they study it, and they learn how to, I don't put titles on myself. You never hear me say, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. And then that would be one of the categories that I don't just label myself, because once you label yourself as you're something, then you fall in, like if I said I'm a Catholic priest, then that all the connotations, negative and positive, are now put upon me as to being one of those, and I'm not.
And
That's
then it
why,
makes you feel like you have to constantly defend that position. I would
yeah.
rather leave my mind open and keep considering the facts and be okay with saying, "I'm not real sure right now. I need
hmm
more evidence."
when it comes to the Earth, I mean, I just showed y'all guys a map here, told you how it works. You can go on the website. It's called tornadohq.com. Matter of fact, I'll drop the link if y'all guys haven't seen this site before. Oh, wait a minute, this isn't the site. It's not Tornado HQ. Sorry. It's lightningmaps.org. And I'm going to get the link and I'll drop it in the chat here for y'all guys. That's this map here that's showing the lightning strikes all around the world at the same time. And to me, that says something. Now, does that make me a flat earther? No, because that one fact isn't enough information. It just tells me that we're not in the world that they told us we are. They've lied to us. That's why I spell the world WHIRLED, world, because I know that everything that exists in this world, just like the supercell thunderstorms, operate inside of a toroidal spinning motion. Okay. And I have went as far and said, and I still say this, is that we likely exist inside of the ring or rings of a toroidal system. I mean, if you go outside at night and look up, the sky is spinning. The sun and the moon, they follow the exact pattern of what you would call cymatics, or um, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Sacred geometry, the flower of life. The sun and the moon both follow the patterns. If you draw out all their patterns throughout the year, what it's drawing is a flower. And in the middle of the flower is the toroidal center of that. And those are all hints to me as to the reality of our world. So just to put a label on that and say, are you this? Are you that? No, I'm not. No, I'm not a glober. I will say that. I'm not a glober. But I'm not a flat earther either. I look at things much deeper. If you go on like TikTok, there's channels that are talking about flat earth and all these topics. And they don't even realize so many other facts that you need to take into account to even understand how to verify or debunk their ideas and concepts. You've got to come out from a bigger view, such as the concept of that we exist inside of an eye or the pupil of an eye. From a toroidal standpoint, that's the center of a hurricane, the eye of the storm. The same thing, the way the supercell thunderstorms work, the same thing, the way our eyeballs are created in function, the same thing as the way the breath that comes out of our mouth, the words that we speak, creates this same toroidal system right in front of our face with our breath and with the vibration of our voice. It is a creative force and creates. And our bodies are covered in it from head to toe. So I look at the world as a much bigger thing than just getting stuck on one thing as to whether we got lied to or not. And I would say this: we certainly got lied to. Do I know exactly what the truth is? No, I don't, but I'm seeking it. And I've talked about it, many of these subjects, many, many times. So, anyways, thanks, Sublime 48, for the question. Now, y'all guys in the comments, although we may open it up so we can have some of you join us here. You guys in the comments can drop what rabbit hole you want us to talk about a little bit, like you just did with that question, Sublime. drop in the comments what you'd like to hear me talk about, me and Roxy talk about, or whether it's a rabbit hole you went down this past weekend or something in general or whatever. I'm going to be watching the comments from this point on, trying to pick up on that.
I stayed out of rabbit holes this weekend. I took a break. I think my brain needed a break this weekend.
Like, I'll show you an image here that is
I can't get that Bosnian pyramid off my mind. If you go and look, they actually have a website for the pyramid of the sun there that we're talking about. That country and government still denies that that is a pyramid. They say that's just a natural mound of dirt.
well, they know that most people need to hear from Daddy, which is the government for most people, as to whether something is real or not. Their version of reality is based on what Daddy says, and luckily, I don't have any daddy here on this planet. My father passed away when I was about 6 or 7, and the only father I listen to is the Creator. When I meditate and pray and things like that. Yeah, the Bosnian pyramid thing it's definitely, all these subjects stay on my mind all the time. The subject right here that you're seeing on the screen. I mean, that when you're looking at that, it's obvious what it is. It's several miles across the top right here. Matter of fact, it might say, let me look and see what it says up here. This is what somebody put out, and I just happened to copy it. Come from Weird Facts or whatever, but it says the notion that certain mountains may in fact be the remnants of ancient tree stumps that have undergone the process of petrification warrants considerable exploration. See, they're still exploring whether this is a tree stump. They're waiting on somebody to tell them, yeah, it's a tree stump, when their own eyes tells you that that is the remnants of a tree stump out in the middle of BFE. Let's see here. It says it's the Jungurtha tableland in Tunisia, which rises nearly 2,000 feet or 600 meters above the surrounding plains, presents an intriguing case. This extensive mesa measures approximately 4,900 feet in length and 1,600 feet in width, encompassing nearly 80 hectares. So it's a mile across then, right at a mile. So from one side to the other side is a mile across, a mile. And this is a small one. No, it's not small, but it is small in compared to some of the ones that I've seen out there.
Sure does look like rings to me.
Looks like rings from the remnants of a tree. It's
I live in the country.
pretty obvious.
We cut down a lot of trees and had a lot of stumps we had to get rid of out of our yard. That sure looks like a tree stump to me, Bubba.
Yep, that's what I'd say. Sure looks like a tree stump to me. And but you're going to have people that can't accept it until their daddy tells them it's a tree stump, and they're never going to admit it. You're going to be lost in limbo for the rest of your life because you're not choosing to think and make decisions for yourself. Like I've said on here before, don't take my word for it.
Go research.
I just bring up things and show y'all guys things. Don't take my word for it. You know, try to figure it out for yourself. I have another little thing. Let me pull this up here. This is I did a quick little search on ChatGPT, which I'm not proud of saying, to be quite honest, but we are using the devil's tools against him just using these computers. If you don't realize, I don't know what to tell you, but we're already playing with forbidden fruit. Let me show you what I said here. I said, which different types of light bulb types, like LED, fluorescent, and all other types, can be affected by EMF energy in the air. What we're referring to here is the phenomenon that's going on of flashing lights. There was a flight that came out of Florida the other day, and the person took some video, and the whole entire cities, you'd say maybe about 15 to 20% of the lights in the whole entire cities are flashing. There's something that is causing this. So what I thought was, hey, let's take a look at all the different lights. I kind of mentioned this the other day, but I wanted to show it to you. It says different types of lights can be affected by electromagnetic fields in various ways, depending on their various design and components. Now, here's my theory. We're going to look at the different types and what it says about them, whether they can be affected by EMF. But here's my thing. And this hit me the other day during the show, and I pondered it some more. And that is that we're forgetting who sells us these lights that are flashing. The same people control all these major corporations, whether it comes out of China or wherever, because I'm sure the lights are flashing in China too. As a matter of fact, there's the YouTuber Mr. MMB. He's got a map where people have been sending him in videos of all these lights flashing everywhere. You know, it's kind of like the lights flashing during Stranger Things, if y'all guys seen that, and I imagine most of you probably did. And it was always, the lights started flashing when the upside down world or the boogeyman was coming, okay? And it's just awful strange coincidence that now we have lights flashing like this all around the world in a random pattern that's hard to understand. My theory is, if I'll stop talking. Jeez. Sorry about the echo, guys. Okay, maybe it's not doing anymore. The people that manufactured the lights, okay? They manufactured the lights with a purpose and a reason why they wanted to move us to LED and a couple other types of lights, right? They told us, and we're talking about what liars told us. They told us it was going to save us electricity. Like I said the other day, is anybody's light bill going down? And the answer, of course, is no. The light bills are going up. But supposedly, we were going to save money. It never manifested. What did manifest? Everyone now has these new types of lights. And they're in parking lots. They're on the front of buildings. They're, well, literally, they're everywhere. So is it too conspiratorial to think that they manufactured the lights knowing of some future events that they were going to be pulling off? And one of those events involves making people think that the upside down world is coming or the boogeyman is coming. And one of the ways you could do that to freak people out is flashing lights. Because one, you've already put out one of the top movie series, video series called Stranger Things, where they showed the flashing lights probably hundreds of times. And most people around the entire world have seen that series, Stranger Things. And now we're living in it. So there's my theory. I think it's a planned and orchestrated setup that's leading to some other event that's underway. Okay. Now let's look at what it says here. Incandescent bulbs. That's the traditional filament bulbs. They are the least affected by EMF, as you can see here. Least affected by EMF, because they operate on a simple resistive heating principle. Okay. So now let's look and see what the next one is here. Okay, number 2, halogen bulbs. Similar to incandescent bulbs, they are not significantly affected by EMF if operated with an electronic transformer. For low voltage halogen bulbs, the transformer might be sensitive to EMF. So depending on how these are installed, they can be influenced. But the bulb itself, by itself, cannot be really affected. So that's halogen. So let's look at our next candidate. That is fluorescent bulbs. So fluorescent bulbs, right? We all know those long tube ones, right? Long tube bulbs. All right. They contain electronic ballasts that can be highly susceptible to EMF interference. What is EMF? Electromagnetic forces. It's no different on the simple side than your Wi-Fi and how your phone's able to connect to your Wi-Fi and information transmit through the air, invisible, but with intention. Just like I believe these lights flickering, this is man-made. It's not the boogeyman coming from another world. It is something that is, they take a natural situation and turn it into a supernatural in order to try to deceive the people. And I think that's what's going on here. So it says strong EMF can cause flickering, buzzing, or premature failure. Can emit their own EMF due to the high frequency operation of the ballasts. So they can even affect other things around them. So let's take a look at the next one. LED bulbs. Now, we all know that these have been pushed on us, and all these lights have neat features about them. You might say positive attributes in some way or shape or form. We assume that these are using less electricity, but yeah, we haven't seen that yet, have we? LED bulbs use electronic drivers that can be affected by EMF, leading to flickering or reduced lifespan. Some LED bulbs generate their own EMF, which can interfere with nearby electronics or maybe other lights. Shielded and high quality LED bulbs are less prone to EMF disturbances. So there's, again, another one, which are the lights that we've been seeing. Flickering and flashing all over the world. I know most of you have seen the videos. Here's smart bulbs, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee controlled LEDs. Basically, again, going to LEDs. These are smart bulbs, so they're bulbs that they rely on Wi-Fi. They're relying on EMF. As it says, heavily reliant on wireless signals, making them highly susceptible to EMF interference. Strong EMF sources can disrupt connectivity, dimming functions, or control responsiveness.
Well, I suggest for a little side research project for anybody that's curious, go
Mm.
back and research Edison's and how the original light bulb came to be chosen. Why did Edison end up with it? He wasn't the only person that had the tech. He just had the right connections to get his tech pushed.
Money and power.
Yep, and then Tesla was dead.
Now, there is what you would call natural EMF in the airwaves around us. The world itself creates one, like the Schumann resonance. We project an EMF field around ourselves. Um, most anything that's alive is going to project it. And a lot of things that are alive, like crystals and rocks and different things, like a tree, it's going to project an EMF field around it. So there are sources of this stuff. Let me see. Where's this echoing coming from? I don't know. But what we're seeing is not natural. I believe this is man-made as to what we're seeing going on. This one is called high intensity discharge bulbs. Metal halide, sodium vapor, mercury vapor contain electronic or magnetic ballast that can be affected by EMF. Strong EMF can cause flickering or reduced efficiency. These are some of the ones you'll see like in parking lots and stuff, along with LEDs as well. So there you have all the different types of bulbs that are affected by EMFs. Now, what do we know that they are the masters of right now? EMFs, Wi-Fi, frequency, projecting it, going all the way back to the early 1900s, at least, where they started perfecting these things. Now, man has known of wireless energy for thousands of years. There's way too much evidence that suggests and shows that they've been building buildings with antennas on them, these points to stick way up in the air, because the higher you go up in the air away from the earth, the higher the voltage is. The same thing goes the other direction as well. Going down in the earth produces the opposite effect. This is why they were able to take out a lot of houses and homes and stuff in different places that have caught fire. It's fire from below, which I've shown and demonstrated in previous shows.
Well, if you think about it scientifically, where lightning originates from, lightning is electricity, the higher you get. And if you look at a lot of these churches and things that are extremely old, and some of these castles and houses, and there's domes on top of them.
Mm-hmm.
And those domes were for conducting electricity. You got buildings eons old that have no windows. So how did they see inside them? There's no smut where they were burning fires. There's no ventilation for the smoke. Yet somebody has already stolen the copper wire out of it. Why did you have copper wire all inside a building before electricity was invented? A and B just aren't adding up in a lot of these stories.
Yep, exactly. A and B is not adding up.
Yeah, their math ain't mathing. It's just that simple. The math ain't mathing. And I'm pretty good at math because that's my occupation.
And I don't think I've seen, maybe y'all guys can correct me in the comments, but I don't think I have seen anyone else out there explain how the simple fact is, okay, these lights that are flashing, who manufactured them? Who approved the designs and the patents? Did they manufacture them knowing, and is this why we got pushed to these type of lights? Because they knew they needed to be able to control that. Just like they pushed us to take lead paint out of the house so that EMFs can now penetrate. See, lead paint was a barrier in your homes back in the day that protected you. Yet they turned it into the devil, didn't they? Just like they did with the incandescent light bulbs. They were like, "Oh, it's using way too much power. You're gonna save so much power going to these LEDs." Now what? We got them, and we ain't saving a dime. But there's an agenda. There's an agenda. Do I know for sure what they're gonna do? I think it's gonna be some hocus pocus stuff. Like they're gonna use it for what it is appearing to be, something to make people believe that there's something supernatural going on, when in fact it's actually just man controlling these things.
Manipulate.
Mm-hmm. Yep, manipulating them exactly. So we got any new tornadoes? Nope. All right, let me try to look at the comments here and see what
I
some.
actually come across talking about TikTok. I come across the lady this weekend. The video is evidently going pretty viral. A few people have picked it up talking about lead. She had a child who kept getting sick, and come to find out, the child tested positive for lead. So she went home and tested everything in her house. She done 200 swabs. Take a wild guess where the lead come from. Cheerios.
Cheerios.
That was
Yeah,
the only thing in her house that tested positive, and she pulled a handful of them out of the box and just kept testing them, and they were all lighting up. Because when you take the swab and you test it, it'll turn pink or red if it's positive for lead. And so she had gathered them up, and she's now sent them off to an independent agency, and it's
mm,
kind of set an alarm up with a lot of moms, because which I know when my kids were little,
mm.
cereal, like that dry cereal was one of their favorite snacks.
It's just a
So
matter of figuring out who Kellogg's is or was, and you'll find out exactly what why there's metal in your cereal. It's
go back
intentional,
and figure out who Kellogg's and Post were in the beginning and what they
right?
did. They were doctors that run mental institutions. They were not doctors. They were mental institution administrator doctors.
Right. So I read a comment from Ricky here. He said it's not just a certain type of light. Say car alarms, car lights flashing as well. Of course, the lights on the cars. If you'll notice the type of cars it is, it's going to be modern cars with LED lights on them, just like the car we have out here that was manufactured in 2008. It's got LEDs all over it. And you have to understand as well that the electronics in a car are going to be easily affected by EMF fields. And you say, well, why isn't it every car? Why isn't it every light? Because I think it was built into the way they built the lights so that each one reacts to a certain frequency. And they knew that it would be very mixed in the population, and that you would only get certain lights, certain types of equipment that would be reacting depending on the frequency change, because it's like turning the dial on your old radio. You know, every little tiny minute difference is a huge difference as to whether you're connecting with whatever you're trying to connect to, you might say. So yeah, Ricky, I'm not saying I understand it for sure. I'm just giving you my theory as well. Let's see what we got here. Looking for holograms of Colonel Sanders. Yeah, says
That commercial is disturbing, sir.
Dean Denver says yes, they changed the light spectrum. This is because the spectrum has changed. The Earth is changing the plasma. Apocalypse is occurring about the century. So let me see here. So they changed the light spectrum. This is because the spectrum has changed. So who is they? We're talking about Starlink. You know, we're talking about. I mean, who is it's got the power, the assets to be able to affect kind of like the whole world in different
Well,
spots at different times.
I've had this conversation about somebody with the water, and they were like, "Well, how could putting this or that in the water system?" Listen, you don't have to have 500 people in on the conspiracy. All you got to do is have one at the top with the master plan, because a lot of times when you work for a company, whether it be a utility or the grocery store, you just follow the instructions you were given as to how to do your job. Okay. Did you take, let's just say, water treatment? You take this chemical that we say is ABC when it's actually XYZ, but you think it's ABC. We say it's ABC. It's sitting in the warehouse. You need to add that to the water supply. So everybody that works for the company just goes along with, okay, you take ABC and you go do what you got to do. They're none to the wiser because they're not looking, they're just doing as they're told. And that's why you don't need hundreds of thousands of people to carry out this plan. You only need the ones at the top to push it down to their employees, because employees have a tendency to just follow instructions. They don't think that their employer is doing anything nefarious. And a lot of times the smaller employers don't even know they're doing anything. It comes from a higher up. It's a grander plan at the top.
Yeah, and most of it they're doing in ways that people will assume to be natural. It's like if you manipulate the weather, well, that's just weather. It's natural, isn't it? Or is it? Or can it be manipulated if it's studied well enough?
I
Obviously,
remember at one time about them chemtrails in the sky. They actually told us that that was a fuel that the airplane needed to dump, and different things of that nature back when people started asking questions before the internet really come about and we could have a conversation.
dumping fuel, huh?
Yeah, they used to claim that it was like excess fuel that they were having to dump before they come in, and things of that nature. My
Mm-hmm.
my poor mind went wild back then. I'm like, "I don't think that's fuel. I think they dump in the toilet." You know what I mean? You don't
Mm-hmm.
know what they're doing up there. But now you got people coming out with the planes and actually showing you that they're a private company being paid to do this.
You remember when they stopped letting people take as much luggage on the airplanes, and they would
Uh-huh.
charge you extra. And then all of a sudden, right around that same time, we had a massive increase in the number of trails, or I'll call it sky art in the sky. We had a massive increase in sky art. And of course, they had their reason back then, again, another lie, saying as to why they needed to carry less luggage. It's because they had this equipment they needed to install to be able to paint the sky, you might say.
Yep.
And so this is why you cannot believe pretty much anything they say. There's an alternative purpose, motivation in all of this stuff.
Because they think you can't handle the truth.
They think you can't handle the truth, and they think you're too dumb to talk about and figure out the things, even simple things like we're talking about on this show. You know, they think most of you will never be able to understand the true nature of this world, that you'll never get it, never question it, and you're just going to live your life and die, and then they're going to enslave your children, and they're going to live their life and die, and then they're enslaving your grandchildren. And it sounds bad, and it's like, no, they can't do that. They've been doing it for thousands of years already. We're the most enslaved society that this world has likely ever seen. You say, well, no, they enslaved the black people back then. Uh, the black people were never freed. We were just added to the box with the slaves. And yeah, I know we've all seen the imagery of people getting beat and all these kinds of things. They still do that. It's just not with a physical whip in most cases. They'll beat you in other ways. Just like I don't cooperate and go along with the gig, so I get beat. Mostly how I get beat is financially. And well, even with our bodies, I mean, how many of us know that we're damaged, that our life will be shorter, that maybe we have less children than we should have had if something hadn't caused us to have problems, you might say,
I looked up some
like metal,
genealogy
like
on
metal cereal.
one of my great grandfathers had 16 children. Evidently, he was a busy man, but he had 16 children. We have 2 today. There's a reason for that.
Hmm. I mean, my mom had 7 children, and I mean, in all, everybody had 5, 10, 15, even more sometimes prior to basically the 80s. I mean, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer all the time, but one of the jobs that I have is to, well, face the facts as to what's happened, because we don't stand a chance of being able to solve it if we can't figure out what they've been doing, expose it, and just keep doing that until enough
Great
people
American Dream.
stop.
This is my theory on the Great American Dream. Back in the 40s and the 50s, it was pumped in. You had that television coming in back then and the radio, and they were and in magazines, and to these women, they were selling this American dream. Everybody needs a house with a picket fence and a car and a mom and a dad and 2.5 kids. Well, that's not the way the world used to work. The world used to work where we were relying on our community to take care of each other. Because you had one person that farmed vegetables, you had another one that raised cows, you had 7, 10, 12 kids for each family, and you had multiple families living on a farm who farmed within their community and shared. Well, now that we've all become citizens of this great American dream with the house and the car and the 2.5 kids, we are dependent upon the system. We are dependent upon the grocery store. We are
Mm.
dependent upon the pharmacy. We are dependent upon the Dollar General and the Wally World. We don't depend on our neighbors. We can't depend on ourselves. We saw this back here a few years ago when, all that stuff happened. You had to get in line and get an assigned time to go to the grocery store. You had to fight with people over paper products. That's not the way the world was in 1950. They couldn't have pulled that off in 1950 if they tried, but they put us in our boxes. They give you this shiny little thing in your hand and kept you entertained.
Yep.
We are not self-sufficient anymore.
People think that they're free. People think that they're not controlled, but yet they couldn't survive for 30 days without the system. Let's say, where do you get your food from? Of course, most people are going to say the grocery store or some other place. It's not their yard, or it's not their neighbor, or it's not their community. And who owns the grocery store? These same people.
The ones that make that food, same people,
Same people.
same people.
They're
Those I had to explain this to my niece this morning who's having some health issues. I tried to explain to her, I said, "Listen, honey, the same people that educated that doctor that you went and saw are the same people that paid for the textbook to be made that educated him, which are the same people that own your insurance company, that own the companies that own the hospitals and the doctor's offices. So it's top to bottom, they are indoctrinated of how to treat you. You don't get anywhere in any test or anything done or any referrals without an insurance code. If they don't know how to bill it on your insurance, it ain't happening. When you have one side of the system that is constructed in a monopoly from top to bottom, you're not going to get any progress. Oh, yeah,
You
I'm on a
know,
rant today about the one-sided of everything.
and they've what's incredible that I've noticed is that they use us to build our prison. That we're willing to build a prison around ourselves and our families and our town for $20, $30 an hour. You know, most most people out there for 30 or 40 or $50 an hour will just about do anything and ignore the fact of what they're actually doing and what's being accomplished. Like, think about the people that are that installed all the cell towers. Did we need that to exist? We don't even need it to do what we're doing right now. At least on my side, I'm using all hardwired cables, and the internet that comes here is hardwired as well. It's not wireless.
There's just so much going on around us at all times electronically that it's hard for the body to even keep up with this stuff. And I'm a cancer survivor. I went through cancer back in '08. Didn't even realize what I truly had signed back then. Not that I had a whole lot of option, I had to have chemo. Well, one of the things you sign away when they give you chemotherapy is the right to ever come back against them for any harm that comes from that. And I don't know, I was in my 30s and diagnosed with cancer and got 2 small kids and a husband, and I'm signing this paper. I need this chemo. I don't wanna die. Yeah, Imma sign it, 'cause they weren't gonna give it to me without it. But what I signed in that piece of paper says that my likelihood of leukemia is astronomical now. Bone degradation, bone degeneration. I mean, I've had, like, 17 surgeries since then, and a good portion of them were from side effects from chemo. But it didn't matter, you had to sign it or die.
Yep. I can only imagine what damage they did to me when I went in the military and they gave me all the shots and everything.
You were just a big guinea pig.
Yeah. Dean Denver says that the camp of the states of the saints is in Hyperborea, aka Antarctica, the center of the Earth plane. All governments are headed to the north to try to enter Hyperborea to war against God. You said Antarctica, but you said north. So maybe you're trying to make a point of something I just don't quite understand. But I will say this. It's very interesting. Well, everybody knows that nobody basically can go down to Antarctica on their own. And if you do go, you can only go to a certain couple of spots right along the coast. There's not really much access at all. And there's obviously, because you got all countries around the world agreeing on this, but they can't agree on anything else, which is all a ruse, of course.
Exactly.
That means that there's, personally, I think the man that wrote the script basically for Lord of the Rings, he was a man that believed that there was, and I don't know if he had knowledge or if it was just his thoughts. But one, he was a flirter. His map that he created as the Lord of the Rings map was based on the Earth being flat instead of globe, right? And when I watched that movie and I look at the deep symbolism within it, these rings that he's talking about, Lord of the Rings, and of course, say in the movie, well, it's talking about the rings they wear on their finger. No, it's not that simple. They're hinting at something else, and it's rings. And now, what do we see going on the screen right here, right now? You see this lightning striking, and it's creating these concentric rings running out in a circle. And what have I said this world is? I've said it's a WHIRLED world. What is the flower of life? It's a group of concentric circles, all overlapping each other. And I have no way to know this for fact. So it's just a suspicion, you might say, with little bit more than a suspicion. But it seems to me that it's highly likely that there's more than just one area of habitation. If you look at the way a hurricane works, or a supercell thunderstorm, or a flower growing in your garden, it shows you that there are multiple areas that could be outside of the center area. And it makes me wonder if there's not additional rings. And I know other people have talked about this kind of theory, and I wish we had a way to know for sure an answer, but they're never going to give us that answer, are they?
Nicholas, if you're real, I'd really like to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, Nicholas, put that back up there, Rox. Let me read what it.
I have been so consumed with World War II and what the Nazis were doing in Antarctica and Admiral Byrd and how they discounted his journal and said that it was a fake, and his missing time when he went on a flight up there. That is one of my great history mysteries that I have been down. I've got spreadsheets after spreadsheets, Nicholas. So if you got information, I want to have a conversation, sir.
Yeah, I've read the stories about Admiral Byrd, and I've watched all the videos I could find. So yeah, um, Admiral Byrd's son was my grandfather's sister's husband. Okay, well, you're here and you're saying this, so you cannot blame us for wanting to speak to you if you have some knowledge you're willing to share. You may not think it's important, but you may know something that may be a piece of the puzzle. So, one, we would invite you on the show if you would be willing to do that. If not, just a conversation would be appreciated. Let me give you
Yeah, you
my.
give this man a number.
There's the.
My brain has gotten excited just by that one. Yes, I'm real. Just ask Kenya from Australia. Well, Nicholas, please take that number right there, and I want you to text that number. And I want to have a conversation with you when you got time at your convenience.
We probably both want to talk to you. Might just have a three-way conversation.
We'll do exactly like this, but it won't be on air. We would love to have a video conversation with you.
Yeah, it'd be just like in a chat room, same as this without being live. And that's the number to text. You could also just call this number if you wanted to. I don't answer that other one if it rings. I have it set up not to alert me. But this number here is a number that I could speak directly to you at. Because, yeah, if you're actually downline family of Admiral Byrd and can confirm or deny any of the information that's out there, or whatever information you have, yeah, please make a brother's day and get a hold of us, okay?
I am absolutely enthralled and fascinated by the whole World War II thing because the whole World War II in Antarctica, and that's where Hitler was seeking to be. He had built a base up there, and none of these countries were as interested in that place as they were until after Admiral Byrd went up there. And once he went up there, it was on. We got a treaty. Now you got all these countries there. They fight about everything. They don't fight about that. His grand uncle invented the iron lung. Byrd Medical.
My grand great uncle, probably what it means, great uncle invented the iron lung, Byrd Medical. Really? Wow. I hope you wrote those phone numbers down, my brother. Um, I mean, I'll put it back up again because I really would like to hear from you. Let's give him a minute to write that number down. Just leave that up there for a few minutes. I think we can. Let's see if we can show another comment, and then that'll stay there. Let's see.
It's there.
Well, I know it's there. I'm trying to see. Let's see if I push this.
Oh no.
And then I turn that off. Does the comment? Yeah, it comes back. Okay.
Yeah, it comes back.
So that number's there, brother. So get a pen and write her down. Or go ahead and send a text right now. Either way.
I am so deep on this Antarctica and World War II thing. I think I have like 6 spreadsheets laid out, and I've been all the way back into the 1800s previous to Hitler with Maria Orsic and the Templars that she spoke to, and because Hitler was hunting aliens. That's what Aryans were. They were not this blonde-haired, blue-eyed, blood pure. When I say race, he didn't think of race as Caucasian, African American, things of that nature. He believed that the race he was hunting was these underground alien reptilian creatures that were sending this woman Maria Orsic um, telepathic messages about building spacecrafts or what they called anti-gravity machines. And that's where he took off. He runs up on this woman, and the next thing you know, he's ready for world domination and building a Jurassic Park. Don't get me wrong, I've seen pictures of her. That was a pretty woman. If I'd ever thought about Lilith in the Bible, that's probably what I would have said she looked like. Now, we were talking a second ago about Lord of the Rings. I couldn't sit through Lord of the Rings. They were just so long. I would get bored in them. But Game of Thrones. Have you ever watched Game of Thrones?
I think I've seen some of it. I don't know if I've seen all of it.
I've actually seen Game of Thrones like 4 or 5 times front to back.
Just the Lord of the Rings, they went from one realm to another realm, and they always had to go either through the earth or through the ice or cross the water to find these other realms. And
okay, that's Game of Thrones. Each, I guess you'd say country or whatever, I guess is what they call a realm, an area. They have an ice wall, which you have to, if you get in trouble or you have to, it's only for men. They must be single, and they swear celibacy when they go to guard the wall. They give the rest of their life. This wall is thousands upon thousands of feet tall, and the reason they're guarding the wall is to keep out the White Walkers, which are what Hitler described as Aryan and giants. They're trying to keep the giants and the White Walkers and the dragons out of their realm. And when you think about Game of Thrones on a bigger perspective with some of the Nephilim and stuff that we talk about, there's a lot of coincidence. Kind of like you're saying with Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It makes me sometimes want to go back and watch it again with different eyes, better eyes now. Like the Palantir thing in Lord of the Rings, they had the crystal ball that they would use multiple situations throughout the movie. Now that crystal ball it's got a company named after it. It was called the Palantir in the movie Lord of the Rings. Now there's Palantir, the company, and it's got the crystal ball, just the same thing. The all-seeing eye, crystal ball, whatever you want to call it. It's all tied into this AI stuff where it's, something I'm seeing. I wanted to remember this to say this. Something I'm seeing is people are already going to these AI bots and talking to it like it's a person, and literally it looks like they're like about worshiping it and treating it like it's a god.
Yeah, they think it's
already seeing it. Huh?
They act like it has all the answers, and it's only going to tell you the truth.
Right. There's no, and that's just not going to be the case. And of course, it's going to be loose lipped, you might say, right now because they're wanting people to engage it. They're making it so it's irresistible because, I mean, it is honestly amazing what just like ChatGPT can do in just moments. Something that would take me all day to do. Like, for instance, pulling up and doing the research on all the different light bulbs and stuff. It might not take me all day, but it would take me several hours, and it took 10 seconds. So the lure of it is pretty heavy. But my concern I've got already is people treating it like it's a god already, like it's alive, it's a deity, and it's their friend, and it's just spitting all this truth, just like a lot of the big truthers are. Well, not real truthers, but a lot of the big channels out there now were exposing this, Sean Ryan and all these other channels, uh, Rogan and all this stuff. They're not on your side. There's no one on YouTube above 500,000 subscribers. Now I know I'm probably wrong in one case or two, but there's no big platform that's really on your side. I hate
They're
this.
not going to be allowed to succeed.
No, they're not. They're going to be repressed like I am. You know, I've been doing this 15 years, and I've only got 105,000 subscribers.
Even I noticed I used to love Duck Dynasty. Love me some good old Duck Dynasty. They did some stupid stuff on there, and
Uh,
the family could watch it together. You didn't have to worry about that. But if you'll notice, even there at the very end of it, when they kind of went out and started doing their own podcast thing, you'll notice that even Duck Dynasty stops and does commercials. And you can tell they're reading from a script. They haven't tried those products. They don't know them.
mm-hmm.
Once you sell out and you start repping a product, if you say something that company doesn't like, they say, "Oh, you can't say that or we're gonna take our sponsorship." Well, then you start watching what you say because you want to be able to eat, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the way taking free speech works.
Yep. And that's why I've always been extremely careful not to take bribes. And if I do like engage, like the only one I've ever really engaged is this camera company, that the trail cam company that I'm working on. And I'm Roxy and I don't know if you have an update or not, Roxy, but we hope to
I
have
sent an
this.
email this morning and told them I needed the link because this was a second request for the link for everybody to be able to go look at the camera and, price it. And
Mm,
as of when we went to Showtime a while ago, I hadn't got a reply email, but I'm pretty sure they're in another country, so we got time differences.
well, I'm thinking they're saying that we have to sign up through that share a sale thing. If you go to their website at the very bottom, you'll see the affiliate link. And that they're saying we still have to sign up for that in order to get that code if you haven't done that yet. And
Oh,
that's why I sent you the login and the password for my existing account, which we can talk about some more after the show. So let's see here. Let me look back at the comments. It's amazing. You never know who might be actually watching and who they know and what contacts they have or what information they have when you're
I'm
doing
excited. I hope he texts you because I just we don't have to put none of it on air. We don't have to record none of it.
I'm responding to him now.
Hey, Roxy.
Yay,
Yeah, he apparently he contacted us.
Nicholas! I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
getting married to my boys.
we'll have a nice chat. Let's see here. Trying to catch up on the comments because I got behind.
I just had to block somebody with a foul mouth on there. But no, TikTok. Did you get any TikTok comments off of what we said Friday? New subscribers?
Um,
I haven't look at that yet.
I haven't looked. I'm still trying to get used to having to incorporate TikTok, which is a whole nother beast.
I know. God.
But
If
they've got
anybody messages us on the service or you text, and Daniel or myself or Miss Kim, if we don't get back to you quickly, we do have to take downtime. So a lot of times on the weekend, we try to take a little time for ourselves because what we do on here, I see that is we never stop thinking about this podcast, about what information to bring to you, what to talk about, to make sure that that we're doing enough research that we're confident in the conversations that we have with you. And of course, there's always going to be one or two things that we read and it's not correct, but I mean, we read it and we brought it and we presented it. Nobody said that you had to believe it or that we did. But if we don't get back to you, give us a day or two, because we do try to take some time off, especially on the weekend and especially on Sunday. We try to
Right.
take some downtime for ourselves and for our family because family
Yeah.
is important.
And remember, guys, we try to communicate back with everybody.
We
but
have more
it is,
messages coming in here
but
that we can hardly ever check.
yeah, it's a lot.
And I
It's
try
been
to
a lot for
respond
years.
back.
But I literally have Miss Kim busy all the time on trying to respond to people, let them know that we got their information, this kind of thing. But we've got information coming in from about 10 platforms, 10 different sources coming from 10 different places. All of them don't go to email. Some of them you have to go on the site to see it. Some of them, and then you got all the comments. And then I mean, it's literally a crew of about 10 people should be doing what we're trying to do now. And yet we're doing it. And literally, you can't even say that I'm making a living and everybody else is a volunteer. I mean, but you can't even say I'm making a living because it depends on what you see as making a living. Having to well, y'all guys see, you understand. Let's see, what's Mike looking for? He was wanting something to share. Mike Smith, hey buddy, glad you're here again. Yeah, I'm looking. I guess
Love
referring to this. He's wanting to see what he's got to say.
our necklace. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, we've got to talk to him first because there may be, you
Some
just
things
never,
he doesn't want.
yeah, you may never know. But hopefully, he's just like he said. What he said was, I think he was the one that said he came to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and he's all out of bubble gum.
Yep. So let's go for it, necklace.
Um,
Orwell and Huxley, was Orwell focused on censorship? Huxley focused on an overwhelming amount of information. They were both right. Absolutely.
mhm.
Orwell and Huxley had similar agenda, different approach. Um, a lot of it is fear, guys. They need us to be in fear because as long as you operate in a fear-based psychology, you're scared to take the next step. You're scared to do whatever needs to be done because your fear will keep you safe in the spot that you're in right now. You don't want to take that risk.
The art of the deal. I mean, the art of war, which are actually the same books. But
This is his house.
Huh?
That's his house.
okay, well, can you show me that? Sorry, guys. What was I saying? The art of the deal, the art of the war. Oh, it says in the book that you want your enemy, which is in this case us, to believe that they are coming from all directions while they're not actually coming from any of those directions. It's in other words, it's creating chaos in the mind where the person is frozen and does not know what to do. And I can't stand here and say that I'm not affected by this because there is literally so much going on out there that's happening and going on that I sometimes don't even know what to talk about because there is just so much going on. Yeah, the art of war, and I mean chaos in the mind is not a good thing, and that has a lot to do with why I don't just report nonstop on politics or report nonstop on, what blew up today where and what's happening in the war and all this kind of stuff, because it's just not, there's nothing positive that can come to it. We try to pick subjects and dig into them. Today it's kind of, and what's going on down the rabbit hole. But
Well, I heard a very, very good saying one time, and it stuck with me. I'm not even sure. I know it was somebody famous, but my brain can't bring it up. In order to control the future, you must control the past. In order to control the past, you must control the present. And if you think about that, that stands to speak to they've deleted history. They've told us the wrong story about history. And I'm pretty sure I'm down the road to figuring out that they just wiped out some years in there, especially when they changed the calendar. I don't think there's any links they would go to hide something from us. So when I tend to research, yes, there are things going on right now. There's all these things going on in the world. I go backwards. I like to go backwards in my research because looking at things that are happening right now and what they're putting on TikTok, new things, that could change tomorrow. You can't change what happened 200 years ago or 500 years ago. Somewhere, somebody wrote it down. And I'm going to search down every source I can find that wrote that story down and look at all the differences between them. Because if there are 5 people standing on a corner and there's a car accident, all 5 of those people saw something different. They all have a different story. It's all a different perspective. So once you take all of those perspectives and you lap them over each other, then you may get a true consensus of the real story. That's how my brain works. I go backwards in the past because I can't live in this fear of the present because they throw so much at us.
to answer your question, Ricky says, tell us what you know, believe, or think about Satan's little season. Well, I know what you're referring to, of course. And no, I don't have an answer for you. But I will say this. If this is Satan's little season, it's just a repeat of the previous season, because Revelation and the book of Daniel and numerous other texts are all currently playing out by the book and by the script or scripture right now. And so, do they know the book? Of course they do. I mean, the powerful have been the ones to control the book to start with, like King James. And I would suggest you do your research on who and what supposedly he was. We weren't there, but the story ain't very good if you start digging. But I don't know, Ricky. I really just don't know. I could easily give you this way or that way answer, but because I don't know, I can't. I just see everything. Of course, things are biblical, and the Bible is the law of what must come to pass, and it's a script, literally scripture, a script. It was written down by men. I think a lot of it was inspired supernaturally. I think that it is it's a fantastic holy book, obviously. But I don't know really for sure. It's one of those things where there's so much going on, it's hard to know for sure. It's because I can see literally revelations in the book of Daniel and numerous other areas that are just playing out like it was a play. And some of it I've shown a lot of. Years ago, I was going through the book of Daniel, studying it, and it's literally playing out just like it's written almost. It pretty much is. So it makes me think a lot of things. Some things I don't say publicly because Well, I'm not sure. And I really don't care to mislead people intentionally when I don't know for sure. So hopefully that makes some sense. Probably didn't. John Rennick said something that I happen to know quite a bit about. MAGA stands for magician, which high priest, and it's the highest level of priesthood in the Church of Satan. And yes, everything you're saying, according to my research, is correct. Uh, it, every language, every old language you can go to in the world and pull up MAGA, it's associated with a sorcerer. You are correct. Um, Also, the word mega, like megabyte, mega is a direct translation in many languages for MAGA, mega, megabyte, megahertz. Now, is that very surprising? It shouldn't be, because it's telling you what it is. It's magic. The computers, megabyte, megabit, all the computer language is all based on magical terms and witchcraft. And that is truly what the computers are. And yeah, we're using it, but we're trying to use it for good instead of evil, because you better believe they're using it for evil and control and everything else. And for those of you guys out there that don't understand why MAGA and what it means, that it means source. All I can tell you, if you can't see it, maybe pray about it. All right, but thank you for the comment, John. Rock Shepherd said something about that a bunch of time has been added or taken away from history.
Okay.
Yeah, the calendar is not the correct calendar. The closest correct calendar that I myself can find that makes the most sense is this one right here. If it'll open, I'll show it to you. It might take a second. Here we go. You'll have to look it up on oops, I just minimized myself. Ain't good. Okay, so this one right here. It's called the WLC calendar. And obviously this is a digital version in an app form that you can pull up, but it's a calendar based on the movement of the sun and moon. And it's based on a 28-day month and 13 months a year. And I've pondered this now literally for years. And I literally pondered this.
Well, I don't have to ponder that calendar because I can tell you it works like clockwork, and it has since the beginning of time until right now at this very moment. There's millions of people out there that can prove it. A woman, she runs on a 28-day cycle. The most important thing in this world is repopulation. We have to repopulate to keep going. A woman works on a 28-day cycle with the lunar moon. That is the beginning of all life. So why we have changed to a calendar or a way of keeping track of time that wasn't based off of life's natural cycle to confuse you, to knock you out of rhythm. Today is New Year's Eve, everybody. Tomorrow is New Year's Day.
Yeah, pretty much. I'd have to look at my calendar, but yeah, pretty much. This is the true spring, or in the end of the previous year and the beginning of the new year. They all want us to thought that it was, in December going into January. See, if you don't even know where you're at or what day or time it is of the month, of the cycles that we see in the heavens. Even the Bible says that the sun and moon are there to show you the times and when it is, and for signs and things like that. But if you don't know where you're at, or when it is, or have any clue, then I mean, what else is the rest of your logic and understanding based on? Yep, April Fool's Day, exactly.
The lunar calendar is based off of the Earth's natural cycle, like a woman's natural cycle. Everything about a woman is based on 28 days. Her hormones, her digestion, her reproductive system. It's a 28-day cycle.
Hmm.
And if women are what give life, the earth is what gives us life. So why would you separate that 28-day cycle
Right.
unless you're trying to throw something out of whack?
Yep, exactly. And what you just said is really important, because I've been trying to get people to see this, but I can't see it for them. I can only get them looking in the right direction. And that is realizing that this world we're in is in a different image, in a different way, in a different look, but is in the image of us, our body. And so is heaven. It was one of the most profound things that the Bible says, and that is that we are in the image of God, and we are the temple. And you can find proof about this in many ways, and much of it I have shown here on my channel, going and showing you that the tabernacle that Moses built was in the image of our body. The Solomon's temple in the image of our body. And our body is also in the image of this world. But I can't see it for you. I cannot see it for you. Roxy, you doing okay on time?
I'm fine on time. I'm done with my work day, so I'm
Right.
fine on
I'm going to take a short intermission, then we'll come back for just a little bit longer. And the appropriate thing to play during that short intermission would be this. Talking to you about the things I'm trying to get you to see. Some of you have seen this video before. It's about 5 minutes long. Think about what I'm showing you and what I'm saying. And we'll try talking about it again when we get back. So see you in about 5, Roxy.
It's a twister! It's a twister!
I imagine right now you're feeling a bit like Dorothy, landing in Oz in a realm that just does not feel quite like home. I can see it in your eyes. You have the look of a man who does not accept what he sees, because he suspects everything his eyes present to him is a lie. Ironically, this is very close to the truth. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know, you cannot explain, but you can feel it. You have felt it your entire life, that something is wrong with this world that has been presented to you with the full expectation that you accept it and never question it. You don't know completely what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind driving you mad. It is this feeling that brought you here to me, to now, to a choice. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you want to know what it is? It is the supernatural image and word of God. It is all around us right now, even in your very room where you are sitting at this moment. You can see it when you peer into the mirror at your own reflection, or when you take a photo of a friend. You can feel it when the sun shines, or when a wave in the sea crashes upon you. You can taste it when you bite into an apple, and see it when you tear open a fruit. You can feel it when you caress a woman, or when a woman caresses you. And you can see it upon the woman's body, the breasts, the buttocks, and eyes alike. It is there when you speak, or when you take a breath. You can hear it when the great owl screeches, or see it written upon his face. You can see it coming when a whirlwind is nearly upon you, and hear it when the thunder rolls. And you can feel it when the wind blows. It is the world that exists beyond the veil. It must be perceived with the mind before the eye can see it. A world that no one ever informed you of, yet you know it's there. If you speak of it, others will say you're crazy, for you must believe what they believe. Like everyone else, you were born and introduced and convinced of a false reality, a false world, a prison world designed so that you would not see, hear, smell, taste, or touch the supernatural reality of the true world. They built a prison for your mind and a hell for your soul, and they pray to their gods that you will never wake up. Unfortunately, no one can be shown what the supernatural world is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there's no turning back. You hit the back button, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you believed before this moment. Or you continue watching, and you cross beyond the veil. And I will show you what is behind the wizard's curtain. Remember, all I am offering you is the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. It is now time to choose. Go back now, or continue beyond the veil.
All right, Daniel must still be on break. But thank you everybody for staying with us this long. No, we're interested. You can see from that video, just like in that movie, Wizard of Oz. There's one little man up there behind the curtain with a microphone, twisting knobs and shaking levers, and screaming and yelling, trying to make everybody think he's this one big giant monster wizard. He is not. Look, there's a big giant right there.
Mhm.
Y'all should
What were you talking about?
barely come to his elbows.
Yeah, I'm 6'2" and about 300 pounds. But
I'm
yeah,
5'3" at best.
I don't hardly have any fat on me. Very little fat. I mean, if you could see my face, you would be able to tell. I'm pretty thin in general, but I'm just big. I don't know how that worked out. I'm the biggest in my entire family, bigger than my daddy, bigger than all my brothers.
You took after your mama's side of the family.
I reckon.
Yeah, now she was a tall woman.
Yeah, she was not tall as me, but she was pretty tall.
No, but she was tall for a female.
Yeah.
Evidently, I did not inherit those genetics because I got stunted at right above the 5-foot mark.
Yep.
I spent most of my life wondering, as an adult, whether I get to ride. Do I meet the kitty level or not?
Right. The video I just played, I call it the Beyond the Veil Oz Matrix They Live transition. But the information that's in that video, I hope some of you guys can see it better now. Rocky Shepherd says I look like a wizard. But
No, I'm his niece. Might as well be his sister, but I'm his niece.
basically Roxy, she's technically my niece, but she's been like my little sister my entire life. And so there's that. But so far as that video goes, you see all the scenes in there I'm showing you because they all have something in common. Most all the scenes in there have something in common. And it's a lot of subject matter that I teach on a lot of times. Matter of fact, in this show here, I've mentioned several times things like when you speak and what your breath creates, like toroidal type spinning things, just like a supercell thunderstorm that's spinning, and we can create it with our breath. And showing you the human body and all these things, it's all related. How I was saying the heavens are in the image of the earth, and the earth is in the image of our bodies, and we're all tied together. And it's actually simple, but what they've done using NASA and all of the other controllers out there and deceivers, which is what NASA means in Hebrew, deceive. But what they've done is they've created such a complex system of how they say things exist that you could never, ever actually get your mind completely around it. There's the claim, all the things they claim, but it's almost none of it. Basically, if you look at the exact opposite of what they teach, you're going to be way closer to what actual reality is. I've said, and I'm not going to get way deep into it, but it's no coincidence when you look at the heavens that there are two luminaries, 1 and 2, and we happen to have 2 luminaries on us. Do you think that's just a coincidence? You can look at the human brain. The Bible says that there's a firmament above this earth, a firmament kind of like this, and all the stars are hung in it. And okay, the nodes or the synapses in our brain are all points of energetic crossings. And I'm sure that our brain are in the area of the heaven, if we could see. And of course, I can't stand it when I go. And you can go through the whole entire body and start to see that. Maybe I should do a video sometime just focused, a real done well kind of little documentary or something other. But I've got 2 others I'm working on right now too. And there's only me, and I've only got so much energy and time. Yeah, Rocky Shepherd said I look like Gandalf or something.
You do look like a big wizard and the old wise man. You need a big wood stick to walk around.
Well, I got that.
Gandalf, the good wizard. I have a stick too. I made it myself, wrapped in copper. So when I go out and I walk, I'm grounded, even if I got shoes on. I got one of those. Mine's wrapped in copper. We need to wrap yours in copper. That way, every time it makes contact with the ground, you're making a really good connection with the earth.
This one is made out of what's called ironwood. It's the hardest wood on the planet. It's You could break it, but it is extremely. I doubt I could break it with my hands like this. Ain't no way. I mean, like smacking it on stuff. I doubt I could break it. But this is ironwood. It comes out of South America, and it's the strongest wood in the world. And it is really tough. But yeah, I have my staff. I like my staff. And yes, it has symbolically some things to do with what you think it probably has to do with. It has to do with authority, the Bible, and I believe that we have a whole lot more supernatural authority than what they would like us to believe.
Well, they don't want us to know that because once you figure out the truth, then they lose control. Control is what they base their system off of. All systems are based off of control. Even when you're bringing a new medicine or a drug about, or you've invented a new car or an engine, you have a control system to test it in. Control is everything to make sure the system operates properly the way you want it. So there's always control instituted from the top down. Yes, he was in the military, Sublime. He was in the army many years ago,
You know, served 4 years as a slave.
being poked and prodded and stuck.
Mm, and traumatized and manipulated, and it was not good. I mean, I can look back and think of certain things I gained from the experience, but
I'll be right back.
from a lifelong perspective, it cost me dearly to be able to go through what I went through. Completely, absolutely dearly, it cost me. Let's see here. Sorcery is pharmakia. Absolutely, Miss Honeybee. Daniel, you were in the military, yeah. 4 years Army. I was. I actually got there's a couple of cool things. The voice is starting to give out on me a little bit. There was a couple of cool things I kind of did when I was in the military. I wouldn't say that I'm proud of them, but it's kind of interesting. Like one of the cadences that they sing, to this day, they sing this cadence called "Way Down in the Valley," and I was the one who originally came up with that cadence and started singing it when we were in basic training, and I took it from there to in Fort Bragg. I took it from there to Texas, where I went there, and we did it. I did it some there as well, and amazingly, it caught on, and it's now they sing it at all kind of get-togethers, the military, way down the valley. They changed some of the lyrics and stuff in the way I used to sing it, but I'm actually turning it into a song at this point. I've got the lyrics already written if I could figure out how to put it to music. And Shannon's actually trying to help me with that a little bit. But yeah.
Well, think about how we talk about frequency and like singing in a church with the harmonies and healing powers. Think about the difference of what you sing in a church versus the way they sing those marching cadence. That's a totally different frequency, but it's done for a purpose. It's not only just to keep time when you're walking.
Yeah. The one of the things that cadence did when you're marching is that it's a unifying factor with you, along with the other people that are singing it with you. It's unifying. It is
It's sung at such an angry, hostile pitch, though, a lot of times.
Oh yeah, because you're talking about blowing up and killing people.
Yeah,
Like
they're
the,
jacking you up.
one of the versions that was sung would go something like this. It's, I'll kind of demonstrate. You go, oh, 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 way down in the valley, I heard a mighty roar. It was the sound of Viney Charlie kicking Bravo to the floor. So that was the one I created, but it went on, with some more lyrics in it. Now I've rewritten it. It still has the same kind of a marching tone, but now it's the saints that are marching in the valley of death and dealing with meeting up with Satan and his angels and dealing with them and dispatching them. So that's where the song is headed. And it's interesting, the words I chose back then was woe. The woe in the Bible is used 3 times, the 3 woes. And I didn't have any clue of that when I originally came up with the cadence back in the early 90s. But it's interesting, the correlation now that I'm actually saying, whoa, it's a warning, kind of a thing. But I know a lot of the other cadences, like Roxy was saying, were made on. It's just all about convincing you in your mind that you're indestructible and that you can run into a hail of bullets and it's all for honor and all this, and it was just all lies, taking advantage of young men that didn't have proper fathers, unfortunately. I was not deployed to the Middle East. I actually got orders to go to Iraq, and they so-called ended the invasion about a week before I was supposed to go. They had given me orders that I was going to go, but then they rescinded the orders, so I didn't have to go. Back in those days, I was actually thinking it was going to be cool to go to Iraq, right? Ignorance, young man ignorance, because I would probably be in a lot worse place if I'd have went than I am even now, Yeah, like, share, and subscribe. It does matter. It does make a difference. And it's so easy for y'all guys to do. What you're hearing coming in is conversation between Miss Kim and the gentleman that is his grandfather, great-grandfather, whatever, was Admiral Byrd, and a couple of other people also that are texting in and stuff. So appreciate y'all guys interacting with us. We do want to hear from y'all guys.
My time is about up.
Yeah, huh?
My time is about up for the day. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, I'm about there too. But I would like to say that I greatly appreciate y'all guys being here. I'm gonna take another quick peek at the weather real quick and see what the storm is looking like at the moment for those that are interested, and then we're going to get out of here. See, over the storm here, you see this long line of storms here. What you'll have over here is a mid-level low that's spinning that doesn't have any moisture wrapped into it. And this is the tail. If you look at that low as like a tree, the rings on a tree, and it's spinning over here, somewhere right over here. If you look at it like it's like the tree in the garden, and there's something energetic that's wrapped around, and the tighter it wraps around, the stronger it gets, like a hurricane as it spins up. And what I call this right here is the tail of the serpent. The tail of the serpent is hanging off of the toroidal field that's spinning right over here. If you can see my mouse kind of moving. To the left of the main storm line is the spinning low pressure, mid-level low pressure. And the serpent's tail is hanging off over here, coming down to the water, of course, where it gains a lot of power from the water. So that's just one example of how I look at the weather differently, because I can see it and how it relates to Genesis, and literally the serpent in the garden wrapped around the tree. And it's an energy thing that can be used for good or for evil. Like Roxy said, I should put copper on my staff. And if it's used for the right purposes, that would be an appropriate, fine thing to do. Just like I have a YouTube channel called The Ark Garden. And it's based on the principles of the Ark of the Covenant as to how I'm designing and laying out the garden. You can see what I am saying. I think Mike said, yeah. Climate Viewer. Oh no, you said cheap viewers on streamboo.com. Oh, that is
That's spam. That's a robot. It pops up all the time. I can't get rid of it.
Yeah, coming in on Instagram. Anyways, so much for that. But let's go ahead and look at the weather just a little bit closer here. See what we got popping. This is all lightning that's happening, and it gives us, we've got a 2.7, now it's saying 1.7 second delay. So if you're watching this map and you see a lightning strike, like if I zoom in here, if you see one of these lightning strikes pop up like are happening here as we're watching this, 1.7 seconds later, it's on your screen. Somewhere's in there. So it's very, pretty accurate, 1.7 seconds, and you get to see. And these lines are the sound waves coming out, like right here in the center. The sound waves coming out and rolling out, literally like a wave in the ocean rolling out from the point of the strike of lightning. As you can see, there's quite a bit of lightning in this storm. And speaking of that, that's one of the reasons why we've got to get off here, because we've got to try to make a quick run to town before the storm hits. And as you can see, it is not far off from here.
Yeah, it looks like it's about to get rough everywhere.
Yep. So we're talking within an hour and a half at the most, we're going to be dealing with these supercell thunderstorms that are rolling up here. It looks like most everything is not too many tornado warnings. Let me go down here and look. Yeah, no active tornado warnings. So good. They're not quite getting the strength up yet. But here's the one problem about that, is when this line meets the ocean over here, the area that's touching the ocean as this approaches towards us here, it will intensify the entire storm north of that spot, wherever it touches the ocean first. It looks like it's going to be about south of Charleston, between Hilton Head and Charleston. It'll probably slide over and touch the ocean first, which means that up here near Myrtle Beach and all this area up here, we're closer to where I'm at, is going to get potentially some pretty good storms. So, yeah. And this map is called the Tornado HQ, and I'll drop the link to that in the comments for you. And I'll drop the link to the other one here, which is the lightning map, the live lightning map, which is really a pretty awesome tool, because you can see look at the storms that are coming towards you and see how much electricity are in them. Because the more electricity that there is, of course, the more likelihood of a more severe storm. Yeah, just got a severe thunderstorm watch put out for Georgetown County. So that's
Yeah,
pretty close here. So it's coming soon. So with that being said, yeah, let's go ahead and say our goodbyes for today. Looks like it's still in my area. They had some tornadoes in Richmond, Kentucky last night. I don't think they did a whole lot of damage. Yeah. Hopefully, there's definitely been some tornadoes out of the system, but hopefully not too bad. But guys, we are going to go ahead and get on out of here for today. We hope you come back on Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, about 2 o'clock Eastern time is pretty much how we're rolling. And we're doing the best we can at bringing a varied group of topics. And sometimes panels, you guys can join us as well. And we're also trying to incorporate TikTok somehow. So if you would go over there and say, let us know that you are that you've subscribed, make a comment on one of my videos, maybe the most recent. And Roxy has a little contest going on that she's going to give away a T-shirt. Apparently,
somebody's getting a T-shirt.
But the big thing is, guys, is we're trying to get some grip going on TikTok and see if we can possibly have another strong outlet of getting information out to people. So
waking people up.
And we need your help with that. We need your help. I'm asking for your help with that. So you may not even be on TikTok. And if you're not, I get it. I understand. But unfortunately, I can't ignore the amount of people that are on TikTok. It's huge. And they have some ways, some tools and things, if they don't take them away, that are pretty cool. So with that being said, we are going to go ahead and get on out of here. Any final thoughts, Miss Roxy, for today?
Nope. Hope everyone has a wonderful Monday evening. We'll see you again on Wednesday. If you have any fantastic information or rabbit hole you would like me to dig my little hands to and see what I can find for you, send us a text, send us an email, check out our website. We'll be back. Love you all.
And Ms. Kim, any final thoughts?
Nope.
No.
I think so.
Oh, okay. And also thank you to Leslie for hanging out, learning, observing, and seeing how she might be able to help us out coming into the near future. So we appreciate Leslie being here as well.
You're still looking for contributors. If you got articles, if you got some tech skills, hit us up. We need help. We need volunteers.
Need someone that can write articles for us on beforeitsnews.com, beforeitsnews.com, and put links back to our website, to our videos, maybe embed the videos. It's pretty simple and straightforward. It's nothing new or magical about it. It's just, if you've ever done anything like that at all and you're listening, we'd appreciate some help. And if you're pretty good with computers, I can train you. If you've already got some pretty decent experience with computers and you have a decent computer or a laptop or something other, it wouldn't work on a cell phone. You really need a larger screen.
Okay,
So,
Rock E. Shepherd. I'm gonna need a cool nickname. If he gets a nickname, I'm gonna need a nickname. You're calling you Gandalf now. Gandalf, good wizard.
Gandalf, the good wizard, huh? Well, again, I don't put labels on myself, but y'all guys can call me whatever you like. It's all good.
Just come see us on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Say that again, Roxy.
They can call us whatever they want. Just come see us on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. No,
Yeah.
Roxy does not have a channel. All of Roxy's content is provided right in here in Lance. I'm gonna start doing some of my own videos one-on-one, but they'll probably be pre-recorded.
And they'll be here in one form or another. Roxy will have a channel, but she's fully invested.
Y'all not gonna see me on camera for a minute because when I come on air, I have been working all day. My hair is in a bun, and I'm probably sitting in my pajamas. So that's gonna take some work to be on camera that I'm not prepared for at the moment. Y'all can
Right.
either have me on a dark screen or not at all. Right now, I'm not ready for that.
We'll take the way it is. Thank you for everything you're doing to help us too, Roxy.
I
And
enjoy being here.
again,
I enjoy our people.
thanks to our co-host Shannon, who just can't unfortunately be here today, but she's been here a lot of times. And thanks for Leslie for hanging out. And looking forward to one of you guys joining our team that is interested in doing something good for the world and not expecting a bunch of money back for it, because it ain't something we've got. All right. I love you guys. And we'll see you again real soon here on the Supernatural Show.